Namaste and warm greetings. Welcome to WICCI National Bioenzyme Council's podcast series. As you all might know, we have been steering this podcast series so as to involve many more of our soul sisters who have all the strength and courage to bring in a difference in the climate change scenario. So we have been inviting such eminent personalities and dignitaries from various fields who themselves have conquered various storms and who have taken the paths less trodden before they emerged as phoenixes. So we aim to derive inspiration from such personalities. And one such personality we have today among us is Dr. Mansee Bal.
Hi.
She's the National President of WICCI Water Resource Council and Director for Wednesdays for Waters. It's a non-profit foundation focusing on water conservation, sustainability, and urban development. So they have conducted more than 200 sessions, if I'm not wrong, for Wednesdays for Waters. And such personality, she's a leading figure in water resource conservation and ecological restoration. A multifaceted personality like Dr. Mansee, I believe, needs no introduction, at least for like us who are in the same facility, we all know her. But just to brief up, she's primarily a listener and a transdisciplinary learner. And professionally, I mean, what not? She's like a one-woman army in herself. She's a research and educator, an entrepreneur, author, speaker, mentor, whatnot. So, Dr. Mansee, we are privileged and we are extremely delighted to have you here, ma'am, today. And
Thank you.
One very, good observation which I had, ma'am, about you is like, you have such striking resemblance or interconnectedness with water itself. I mean, look at the characteristics of water and they're so similar with you. Like maybe if I talk about transparency, if I talk about the quick adaptability, or maybe I talk about the resilience. I mean, look at the fire in your belly, the passion, or maybe I talk about the cohesion and connection. Like you have been fostering communities, families, relationships. There are so many such similarities. So it's like, you're so analogous to water itself. So really, really welcome here, ma'am, and thank you so much for making out time.
Thank you, Jayashree, and thanks WICCI Bioenzyme Council and especially Priti Rao to at least think of having me here. And few improvisations, how Jayashree mentioned, is the W for W. I'm very proud that people recognize it as Wednesdays for Water because it's our flagship program. W for W Foundation stands for V for Water. World for Water, Women for Water, Water for Women. So we have many of those words which we have abbreviated into W for W. And we have Friday Waters, Monday Munching with Women for Water, and Wednesdays for Water, all totaling to around 250 plus sessions. To be precise, 254 sessions. And we are going to start soon again. We are taking 2 months break, 3 months break after the water festival. So these are just small things I wanted to make correction. And to your point about the resemblance or analogous to water, I strongly believe I am water. In fact, it's just a bag of water, We have shapes. So that's how I look at myself also. And I think an important aspect where you probably people like you who see things and you can see people across. And I feel the belief that, if I am a drop in the ocean, and at least I should be able to realize the potential of ocean in that little drop. So I think if we believe in ourselves, we can do whatever we wish to do. So maybe you are seeing those things. I'm doing little things. I'm not never planning or imagining or dreaming doing big things. The small things here and there, just like a droplet. So. But yes, putting them together makes it look a lot of things. So,
ma'am, to start the conversation before that, I'm just curious to know, like, when I was talking about the passion, when I was talking about your interconnected with the, or maybe your interest in this field. So, ma'am, I believe that, you cannot get charmed just overnight. There has to be some seeds sown, consciously or unconsciously before we realize. So I would want to know, and this reminds me of that lyrics, Bollywood song, Tera mujhse hai pehle ka nata koi. So, ma'am, what is the secret behind your energy? What was that inspirational pull? I would really want to know.
Um, Two things. I think I grew up in a countryside with my nanny grandmother, so maternal grandmother. And the major thing I remember from my childhood was just going around these pukurs, which is called ponds in English. So little small water bodies, which most of the houses, large landholding farmers have. So just going around the pukur, having bath and playing in with friends in that water body, then playing with the granny and catching fish, catching all kinds of, harvesting all kinds of fruits from the trees around by, and jumping into the pond from the tree and, diving into. So all those memories were there. But I think in my third year of architecture, when we studied a book called Landscape Architecture and by Jacob Simons, and I took the assignment of doing waterscape. And I think that was a turning point for me, I will say. Not that I realized it, but after that, in my final year, I did my thesis on Bhopal lake site, not on the lake, but my site was just next to lake. I was doing architecture and I was almost failing that thesis. Likewise, in my master's thesis at CEPT University, I was again doing a thesis around the lake and I was failing that thesis also. And not to my surprise, I think I was quite convinced about what I was doing with the lake, around the lake. Both my theses were distinction holders, and I mean, it was topped in the class. And as a young child, or I'm not say not as a child, but as a youth, you don't like to really see somebody pulling you down, but you definitely I will say escalate your aspirations or your path when you get a small appreciation of your work. So from the thesis which I was failing 1 week ago, both in my undergraduate and masters, and suddenly it became like the thesis of the class. I think as a child it moved me that I was so stubborn to do what I wished to do, and I carried out that work in both the thesis, and it was appreciated at the end, appreciated by marks, and as I mentioned, as a youth, marks are kind of an evaluation that you are doing something right. But then in master's thesis, it turned out to be a social movement in Ahmedabad, and my thesis was used as reference with a lot of coverage in media and TV and everything. And I think then it was no looking back, just going ahead and ahead. And I don't think there is a date for realizing that it's my work, but unconsciously or subconsciously, all my education or dissertation thesis and PhD is all about what urban lakes and water. So it's just the interest which I kept developing again and again, and I get moved, by the way. If I see anything happening with water, whether it is positive or negative, I really feel something is happening inside me. I mean, I think everybody, you go near the fountain, you go near the water body, you are elated. But not many people get upset when you see water getting wasted or water is dirty. So I think this relationship, and I think early realization that 70% if inside me is water, I think I could connect that very early in life. I mean, there was no looking back from undergraduate, postgraduate thesis that this is going to be my field of work. So I didn't really explore much in career. So I was just focusing on what I like to do. I never ran the rat race, so that was much easier in life. So I just followed my passion.
That's amazing.
I was a stubborn child from बचपन से ही, so it made it easy, जो मन में है वही करना है.
That gave you your indomitable spirit, which we all vouch for or we take inspiration from.
बहुत मार खाया है बचपन में, पर जिद्दी होने के कारण यही करना है, मतलब यही करना है, कुछ नहीं होगा उसके आगे पीछे. But then you take the risk and you start indulging into it, exploring things, and you find out way. I mean, I'm still lost in water, but कुछ कर रहे हैं, इतना मालूम है कि कुछ कर रहे हैं और अच्छा लग रहा है.
True, ma'am. Ma'am, can you describe some of the concerns, key issues, if I say, which we face on a daily basis, on a regular basis when it comes to water resource conservation or overall ecological restoration?
I think an important aspect is that we are indifferent to what's going on. We are unable to connect, as I was saying, that kuch hona chahiye, in short, water, because we have to understand that the water outside is the same water as we have inside. And I think that disconnect is my biggest concern. I know there are technologies to clean water. I know water will do its own. उसके साथ ज्यादा छेड़खानी करेंगे तो हिमाचल and Sikkim was classic example last year. So water can manage itself. What we have done, and that is my major concern, because I work on water governance. I don't work on water technologies and management, and these are completely different field of work. And for me, biggest concern is the disassociation with water. We think we are humans. There is the water. I have to work on it. I have to treat it, and I have to make it better. And for me, that's the biggest concern, because we are not relating it with ourselves. The very classic example is that we are not realizing is that the water is not polluting by itself. The government is not polluting the water. I am the one who is polluting the water. I'm the one who is using something which is letting the water pollute. I'm the one who is dumping my polythene bag or my building waste onto the water. So what makes me think that I will go and manage the water? So my concern is our perception about water, that it is something else and I am somebody else and I'm better off, and I have the right and power to clean that water. Sorry, I am the one who is making it difficult. I have problem with actually people, not with water.
Absolutely, ma'am. Very well said that nature is self-sustaining. It doesn't
They,
need a
it will do its own course. I have full faith in it.
very true, ma'am. And ma'am, many times, time and again, I've heard you say about people management. That if we manage people, then water resources or ecological conservation will come hand in hand. They don't need
Hmm.
our support. So, ma'am, there's one question here. Like, since we live in a society where, we all know it's a male-dominated society,
Hmm.
where men rule the roost, where women are given very few opportunities
Hmm.
or rights. So, ma'am, in your advocacy work or in your activism, what demons did you have to conquer when you were dealing with, communities or stakeholders or, in general, people? So, how do
Hmm.
you make sure that your presence is felt, your intentions are clear, your voice is heard?
Hmm. Very interesting question, because the demonization starts from home. So I am not embarrassed about it. And that's every ghar ki kahani. That you have potential. I mean, again, Rumi. I'm a drop in the ocean, and there is a ocean in this drop. That realization is first of all suppressed by family members. So to come out of that, and if you can start thinking your family members as a reflection or mirror of the society, it becomes much easier to handle the society. And when I say handle the society, I also wish to make a disclaimer here, that I don't develop lakes. I don't do anything with the lakes. I don't do anything with the rivers. And I'm very proud on this public platform to say that I'm very proud that I have not developed a single lake in my life. Because in our society, we are doing a lot of appreciation to people who are doing a lot of things on the ground and developing the lake, उसको खड्डा कर रहे हैं, उसके बाजू में garden बना रहे हैं, this and that. And being a scholar, I strongly believe that we should not do that. So that's one thing, that I have not engaged in any of those consultancy and these development projects, which makes it much easier for me to not deal with people or not deal with officials. But at the same time, when I'm engaging with community, I'm most of the time telling the community what people should not be doing with the lakes. And that's my, I think, unique way of doing things, or you can say USP, as in market terms it is said. So I do awareness programs with all kinds of stakeholders, and often my I think my guidance is on what we should not be doing, because we have too many experts to tell what we should be doing, and unfortunately most of them are doing wrong things. And I'm a strong believer of it is better not to do anything than doing wrong things. So I don't do lakes, I don't do rivers, and I'm very happy about it, because I prefer to be that little stone in the lake or the river who is just watching it and respecting it and letting the water flow. So I have not had much of resistance or negative, you know, I will say reaction from the community, because I am not engaging in any conflicting things, whether it is developing or not. As an educator, as a thinker, my job is to tell people, or I think my duty is to tell people, learning from all kinds of sources, what's going on where in the world. You can ask me, and I'm very happy to say that my friends call me encyclopedia, because I'm reading a lot. So many a times I'm just going and telling people as a thinker or educator that this is not right, or this is right, or if you do this, this will happen, if you do this, this will happen. And I think my duty stops there. I cannot and I should not take responsibility of changing the whole world. And I'm very clear on that, you know. So if I have conveyed this message to a set of people, like last 2 weeks ago, I had a wonderful lake walk. We did 3 water walks in one day, full day engagement with Columbia University students of New York. And I have tomorrow, I have, no, day after tomorrow, I have a night lake walk. So first time I'm going to do a night lake walk to tell the night life of lake. So I think my duty, after reading a lot of things, is to tell people what should be done or what should not be done. Now, what people do is not in my control. You know, I mean, I should not use this analog, but just to explain it better, you know, we are not reading our religious scriptures. We rely on all these God men or God women. Whatever they read and interpret, they tell us, and we do whatever we wish to, you know. Because normally most of us are lazy to read everything, or most of us think that we will not understand everything about all Vedas. Likewise, I'm trying to understand everything about water bodies, whatever is it can occupy in my little head here. It's not big brain, by the way. So whatever I understand, I try to convey it to people, and I stop there. I write about it, I speak about it. Now, if you agree with it, well and good. If you don't agree with it, you can debate with me. You can ask me further questions. You can go and destroy the lake. I can't do anything about it. It's your deed. And I stop there. I have very clearly defined line of my scope of work.
Ma'am, but like, because of the ignorance or insolence or maybe the carelessness or selfishness.
Arrogance, please add the word arrogance also,
Arrogance,
because
yeah.
when you know less, you have more arrogance.
Yeah. So we have already done enough damage, and
Yes.
we do not, what should I say? We agree to it. It's always like the other people's mistake. Everyone says it's not my mistake. It's the other person's job to, it's not my job. So, ma'am, this kind of approach, and I'm sure because of, major polluters around, we've already had many, devised various methods to
Yes.
lake revival. Of course, it's an irreparable damage. So, ma'am, I would want to know, how can we incorporate bioenzymes along with the other methods so that we can, bring in a smooth facilitation and, in mobilizing the entire water resource management?
Okay, a good question, because as I mentioned, there are many technologies. Sorry, I forgot your question on patriarchy. I'm going to answer that in this round also. There are many technologies to lake revival, and I have a publication coming very soon on that. So we have identified around 4 techniques which people are using as of now today in India. The way I see bioenzyme, because most of the technologies which are available right now is in the line of preventive, in the line of cure approach, sorry. And the scope I see in bioenzyme is more in the line of preventive approach, So I don't see bioenzyme to be used on the lake, I see bioenzyme has to be, in the line of be the change you want to see in the world. So we have to promote bioenzyme at domestic use. And I think it will be over ambitious and naive for bioenzyme to be put on the lake or in the river. I think it's going overboard. Uh, but let's say if we have a housing society like my housing society, 192 homes, if we were all using bioenzyme, the wastewater which is going out of it, if it goes to the lake, no problem. So again, back to the idea that water management is people management. We all are very interested to manage the water. Not many of us are interested to manage the people. So if bioenzyme people really want to do some change or bring a change in the society, they should target households, not the lakes. Because I think if we continue polluting lake, no bioenzyme or no technology of lake cleaning is enough in this world. So why to compete with other technologies which are cure approach? Bioenzyme has a uniqueness to be preventive approach. It is the only solution we have in as of now in the world. So I will highly recommend bioenzyme practitioners to not go and compete with other technologies and try to bring their focus to bringing change in people's behavior. And I would like to give an example of Lake Biwa case, which was a woman movement, biggest woman movement in Japan. They cleaned the whole lake, and it's a soap movement of women. So they just changed their domestic use of soaps. And within few years, the lake got cleaned. So I'm just trying to give the scope of bioenzyme here. Now, the lake statistics, we have lost half the lakes in the countries in the last 100 years because we are dumping, we are polluting, we are filling it up, we are making buildings and so on and so forth. And the remaining half the lakes are half the size. So in other words, we only have 1/4 of the lakes in last 100 years. So if we want to save these 1/4 lakes, solving the pollution is not the solution. Stopping the pollution is the solution. And stopping the pollution will start from my home and your home. And this is not have any other technology available than bioenzyme. But the bigger question is, who will bear the cash? Who is going to take the responsibility of changing social behavior? So I think Bioenzyme Council should read thoroughly the Lake Biwa movement. And I am aware that it's a huge council you have around the world also and in India. And start the bioenzyme movement just in the lines of Lake Biwa soap movement. Let all households start using bioenzyme cleaning agents, at least flushing agents and detergents and dishwashing. Then every lake in the neighborhood would like to receive the wastewater that we flush in our house, that we drain from our house. And I mean, I remember Preeti's house herself, how her washing machine is in the park, in her garden, and she just drains off the water in the garden. So I think it is a very good material in those terms, the preventive approach, I will say. Now coming to your patriarchy question, the previous one, which I missed, water problem is a patriarchal problem. Because first of all, in domestic use, water is considered as women's problem. It is our responsibility or women's responsibility to ensure water in the house. But then women are not in the decision making at higher levels, from government to bureaucracy to engineering to local authority, and these are all dominated by men. And in water sector, I can tell you by global statistics, we have 1 in 5 water professional who is woman. In India, we have less than 1 in 10 water professional who is woman. So if women have to manage water at home, women better take charge, get more educated, read more about water, and take charge about water management of the society from the decision-making point of view. Whatever it takes, Sam, Dam, Dand, Bhed, We have the responsibility तो है, घर की responsibility है तो समाज की भी है, देश की भी है, तो करना पड़ेगा. There is no other choice. If we leave it to men, it's all about development. It's all about concretization. It's all about pollution because it is all about making money. We have Mother Earth, we have Mother India. So let us make the boys work in the way mothers would like the society or India or planet to be. Unfortunately, it is the motherhood which has spoiled the boys. So mothers have to change to deal their boys more woman-like instead of mothers making their daughters more man-like. I mean, this is a more discussion on masculinity and femininity, but we have to stop aping, comparing ourselves with men, because water problem is a patriarchal problem, and unfortunately women are endorsing that patriarchal problem by following what men are doing, by doing what men are doing, by wanting to reach where men have reached, by wanting to become successful as men. So then we will have all men in the society and we are doomed. We need men to become more eco-feministic than we need women to become masculine. So women have huge responsibility, first of all, to hold themselves as women. Don't compare yourself with men. Come on, you are better. You don't need to compare yourself with men. And then also change men's heart and mind to become more woman-like. And that's the responsibility of mothers. Tell them that it is all rivers are mothers, all natural resources are mostly women. India is mother India, no father India, by the way, and no father planet. So why are they deciding everything for us? Because we empower them, and unfortunately all our policies are about empowering women. I feel really laughing about it all the time. We gave them the power to, we empowered them to really do all nasty things. So we have to just pull their ears and bring them down to become human beings. Gentleman banana भी हमारा ही काम है. अभी वो मैन बन के वो मॉन्स्टर बनते जा रहे हैं. उनको जेंटलमैन बनाना मदर का ही काम होगा. That will start from parenting, but I don't want to deviate. But all these things come very close to the way water is managed. Because you go and see every other architect and planner, I come from that background, they are developing lakes, garden bana rahe hain, because they don't know the difference between a lake and a park. A lake is a lake. Why do you want to make it a park? A forest is a forest. Let it remain forest. Why do you want to convert it into park? These kind of distinctions. I think if women can do little bit of more reading, little bit of more gathering confidence, they can question these wrongdoings in the society. I'm sure they can do. Even in environment sector, you just go and look for it. There are more women who are doing this kind of work. So it is very very compelling. I think it's just that we have to increase our fraternity. We have to increase our sisterhood network. And that's what we are doing, I think, in WICCI.
Very true, ma'am. Bringing in the eco-consciousness and eco-education, I see, is the only solution.
Only solution.
That's
There's no other solution, yaar. It has to be preventive.
absolutely.
हम लोग क्योर के पीछे भागने से there is no way out. No way out. वो तो उधर से pollution होता रहेगा, इधर से हम clean करते रहेंगे. It's just a project then. It is not done with heart.
Then it's just an ongoing thing forever and ever.
आप pollute करना रोको ना. आपको क्लीन करने की जरूरत ही नहीं पड़ेगी. एंड पोल्यूट करना रोकना बायोएंजाइम के पास सोल्यूशन है, एंड देयर इज नो अदर टेक्नोलॉजी. That's where I got actually convinced when I first started talking to people.
Absolutely.
That this is a solution for prevention.
Yeah. By harnessing the potential of bioenzymes, I feel we can unlock various new opportunities.
Absolutely. And the thing is, every individual can do it. It does not have to have an industry. If bioenzyme wants to commercialize itself and form an industry, it is going the same rat race and it will never win against all those competitors. It has to get into every house. You remember we had the MV kind of a system.
Yes.
You have to learn the business module from there. To make bioenzyme every household's work. like they would like to do bioenzyme, they would like to compost, they would like to do this and that as much as possible,
Absolutely. We have been
So
enriching.
bell the cats, bell the cats, go every household, do a lot of surveys. I think it will help.
Ma'am, on this, context, one very important question which struck to me now is before the industrial effluents are discharged into the natural surface waters, there are various norms that we have to follow. So,
Hmm.
ma'am, do we have, or if not, can we have such norms before we just discharge, insolently all this domestic sewage or the grey water? Because this also is one of the major polluters.
It
And
is. It is. Please finish your question. I'll tell you
so by
something interesting.
incorporating bioenzymes, if
Hmm.
we can have such law, I don't know if there is any, or if not, can we have such laws, ma'am? So that,
We cannot have those laws, but you have really nailed a million watt or billion watt question here. First of all, you compared industrial wastewater with domestic wastewater. We have some of the stringest rules for industrial wastewater. Now it's a different issue that industries are corrupt because they are hand in hand with government officials.
absolutely,
Industries do not treat their water. So those are corrupt practices. But we have laws for tapping industrial wastewater. So if an industrialist is genuine person, a responsible citizen, that industry is going to treat its water and use a circular water, use the whole water for something and blah, blah, blah. And I have worked with a couple of industries like that. They have developed lakes, and it's about Bangalore, by the way. Uh, so it's possible. Treating industrial wastewater is just a matter of ethical practice. Technology is available, law is available. Now, the problem with domestic wastewater is every house is an industry by itself. There is no law what you should be using, what you should not be using. And then we have these shameless people, all celebrities. I really wish to name them, but I don't know if somebody puts a case against me. But they are talking about using RO water. They're talking about using this soap. They're talking about using that cleaning agent in. I really feel that those people are really ignorant, arrogant, and shameless people. All these big celebrity Bollywood and sports stars are shamelessly advertising something which is not good for environment. If they
absolutely.
do not, because that is going to make our life difficult to go and tell. I had a big fight 2 days ago in my own township, because that is going to make it difficult for us to bring a change in people's behavior, because those are big people, they earn a lot of money, and that is the measurement of success. So if you and I go and tell every household that do not waste, like my front door neighbor, every day she is not segregating waste. I don't know why and what is her problem, you know. So if all these big people are telling us to use X kind of washing powder, Y kind of acid to clean our toilets and this and that, we will have difficulty, to tell them. And we are vote back. So there will be no law and policy for us to use this. So we are a double loss to bring a behavioral change as practitioners of conservation or practitioners of environment, you know, because big people are saying to use them, then there is no law, and local authorities cannot police every house. It's only by social behavior, by moral practice, by education, by showing them the way, like in your township, my township. I mean, my township, nobody likes me because I speak a lot about environment. So, and I'm sure many of you are facing the same, because people don't want to understand. So, and they feel offended when they are told. So maybe some good people, some honey coating people can speak to them in a better way. I am not a honey coated person. Uh, but I think behavioral change is the only way, but it is not an easy way. Either you
Absolutely.
bring it through school education, which I'm today I have an article published. I'm going to share it after this talk. I think school education to children is never going to be enough, because we are not educating the adults, because adults also don't want to learn. They are so busy in making money for their own children, as if their children are not going to make money. You know, every parent today is ensuring that the child, until the child is 70, 80, 100, they want to save money for them. And in that process, they are doing a lot of corrupt practices, selling all kinds of wrong things, producing all kinds of wrong things, practicing all kinds of wrong things. And they use their child as an excuse, their children as an excuse. This is where educating the adults, we have to design something very soft, very subtle, because all adults are bag of big egos. I wish all adults were bag of water and not and fluid and transparent and willing to accommodate, willing to learn, willing to be open, willing to embrace. But no, we are all bag of egos. How in those bag of egos you are going to put a little seed of empathy, of environment? That's the challenge we have to face. Bioenzyme is a technology and it's not a rocket science. It was there since antiquity. Nothing new is done by bioenzyme people. It's just that you realized its value, you know. Now it's how do you bring it to every house? It's a big challenge. I mean, I face it in my own house. I mean, forget about my township. To explain it in my own house is a challenge, but at least now the family members see that I'm struggling and doing so much of hard work. In lieu of my professional work, I spend more time doing nature conservation inside the house, that they feel embarrassed if they don't do it. So they are not doing it because they should do it. They are doing it because I'm spending a lot of time and energy, and I'm really screaming at everybody. So if we are not able to bring a change in our family, we have to first learn how to bring a change here. Then probably we will learn some tricks, some traits, how to bring a change in our neighborhood, how to bring a change in our township, in our apartment. I think we should just aim for small projects. Not, I mean, I'm calling it projects, but these are more initiatives. We should not, I mean, personally, I'm never aiming for changing the whole society or the country. I mean, it's a very naive thing to do, because अपने आप को तो बदल नहीं पा रहे, अपने घर वालों को बदल नहीं पा रहे, दुनिया बदलने क्यों जाना है? क्यों जाना है? मेरा तो ये सवाल सबसे रहता है. मतलब when I'm teaching, I'm telling all these things, for that matter, success also. Successful क्यों होना है? ये मेरे लिए बहुत बड़ा सवाल है. सबसे सवाल. मतलब, and how do you define that? And so how do you want to change people? You know, if you can sit and do brainstorming how to bring that behavioral change in the people, फिर तो रॉकेट साइंस नहीं है. सबके घर में नींबू निकल रहा है, सबके घर में पाइनएप्पल निकल रहा है, सबके घर में वेजिटेबल रोज निकल रहा है. बस उनको आधा घंटा निकालना पड़ेगा, और बिलीफ ये होगा. टीवी देखते देखते कर लो.
And the cost effectiveness and the
Cost
efficiency.
effective. Cost में तो we will not be able to convince them, because see, middle class is very affluent now.
Yeah.
So if you tell them that you are going to save 100 rupees or 200 rupees a month in your washing powder and a detergent and acid cleaning, I think that's not a convincing point. Only convincing will be this moral and emotional. Come on. I mean, how far you can go and destroy your planet, and for what you are saving money for your children. When they cannot have fresh water, when they cannot have fresh air to breathe, what will they do with the money? But that is where I call ourselves as bags of arrogance or ego. You know, some of my friends have always jokingly said to me, हाँ तो हमारे बच्चे यहाँ थोड़ी रहेंगे, वो तो बाहर चले जाएंगे. मतलब मैं पॉल्यूट करूं, मेरी जनरेशन पॉल्यूट करे, मेरे बच्चे के लिए पैसा जमा करे, फिर मेरा बच्चा इस देश में रहेगा नहीं. वही मैंने 90% मेरे दोस्तों को सुना है कि इस देश में कुछ नहीं रखा धरा है, चले जाओ बाहर. मैं तो, हम तो उनको बाहर भेजेंगे पढ़ने के लिए, वहां बहुत कुछ है, ये है वो है. तो यहाँ क्यों नहीं है? क्योंकि यहाँ आप नहीं कर रहे. यहाँ आप डिस्ट्रॉय कर रहे हैं अपने समाज को, और आप अपने बच्चे के लिए पैसा जमा कर रहे हैं कि वो बाहर चले जाए. तो पैसा may not be the changing factor, because I think the middle class has too much money and the elites don't care, you know. They just don't care. Otherwise, they would not have been so rich. 1% people of this country owns almost all the wealth of the country. Huh? So the middle class has to be tapped because they are educated. Unfortunately, they are educated. I wish they weren't. We weren't educated, so that at least हम किसी की बात सुनते तो. हम इतने educated हैं, किसी की बात सुनना ही नहीं चाहते. So those bag of egos have to be converted into bag of water. वो कैसे होगा? यही तो मैं सुबह शाम यही सोचती रहती हूँ, कैसे होगा. मैं सक्सेसफुल होना नहीं चाहती, इसलिए भी शायद मैं बहुत एफर्ट नहीं कर रही हूँ. पर ये सवाल ही मुझे सुबह शाम काटता रहता है कि कैसे लोगों को बदले, क्यों लोग सोच नहीं रहे हैं, इतनी छोटी सी बात समझना क्यों नहीं चाहते लोग. तो ये तो मेरा भी सवाल है यार, मैं कुछ नहीं कर सकती इसमें.
Actually, ma'am, the major problem contributors are the educated and the rich.
Oh yes, yes, I have no doubt on that. I have no doubts on.
Absolutely.
क्योंकि पुअर पीपल तो हमारा कचरा लेके घर बना रहे हैं, हमारा बच्चे कुछ कपड़े पहन रहे हैं, सब कुछ तो वो लोग बेचारे ऐसे ही कर रहे हैं. तो एक, और हम अनफॉर्चुनेटली उनका लाइफ बदलना चाह रहे हैं by sucking all resources from the nature. In fact, they are share also. So somewhere, yeah, enlightenment, I think we have to have more moral science education, not those babas and ammas ka spiritual education. Sorry to say this, but because they are the biggest path distractors, क्योंकि वही तो ज्यादा पैसा कमाने बोल रहे हैं. And most of them hawalas also. So sorry, sorry, you may cut this part.
Absolutely, ma'am. That it's just the
You see, I mean, if you open my heart, I mean, all these things are going to come out. So I'm always scared to speak my heart, but it's okay.
Oh, ma'am, definitely. It's
I'm usually not controlling my emotions and thoughts, you know. So,
yeah.
okay.
Bringing in that education and awareness, there's no other solution, of course. Ma'am, a little different question. I mean, it's not needed here, but just to sometimes a little push, or maybe a little hand holding, or maybe a little policing, as we talked just a few seconds before, is required to wake up our sleeping beauties or the sleeping.
Oh yes, a lot.
Ma'am, can you
धक्का
just
लगाओ, धक्का लगाओ.
on that context, ma'am, can you just highlight a few of your notable achievements or success stories? I'm sure there might be many which you have bagged, but again, to give that push, that हम कर सकते हैं, तो आप क्यों नहीं? We are from the same setup, same family setup and everything. So please, ma'am.
पहले तो मैं थोड़ा सा फिर से करेक्शन करना चाहूँ कि मैंने कभी सक्सेस को इतना तवज्जो दिया ही नहीं, क्योंकि मेरे लिए सक्सेस होना ही अपने आप में मैस्कुलाइनिटी है. क्योंकि समाज में सक्सेस का डेफिनेशन से ही मुझे प्रॉब्लम, तो मुझे तो सक्सेसफुल नहीं होना. तो अब जिसको होना है वो मेहनत कर ले. जब भी द मोमेंट यू स्टार्ट थिंकिंग इन दैट वे, यू ओपन द वर्ल्ड ऑफ अपॉर्चुनिटीज फॉर योरसेल्फ. ये मैं सोचती हूँ ऐसा. बट टू पुश द स्लीपिंग ब्यूटीज, ये मेरा भी रियलाइजेशन है. और जब मैं वुमेन एज अ सब्जेक्ट पे स्टडी करना, अपना रिसर्च करना शुरू किया, इस वक्त आई एम डूइंग 2 रिसर्च ऑन वुमेन इन आर्किटेक्चर और बिल्ट एनवायरनमेंट एंड वुमेन इन वाटर. तो इन दोनों के लिए जब मैंने काफी रीडिंग करना शुरू किया, तो आई रियलाइज्ड 2 थिंग्स विच आर वेरी एक्सट्रीमली इम्पोर्टेंट फॉर वुमेन टू डू. Either it is done by self pushing or somebody takes the responsibility, and I'm going to give both the examples how you can do that. Like you do small things, but you have to learn to document and disseminate your work, however small thing you have done. Nowadays people are making those small reels and TikTok khana banane ka and this and that. I really appreciate that, to be honest. This is something women have to explore, and maybe people will measure it as to become successful, but I see it very differently. If I know something, so if I have learned about something, that's my right. But it is also my duty to share about that to people. Now in the process of share, one may become successful in that societal measurement, but sharing is not happening. Now women may go behind those excuses, oh घर का इतना काम है and office का इतना काम है and promotion चाहिए and इतना salary होना चाहिए, तब तो हम compete करेंगे, तब तो हमारी इज्जत बनेगी, वगैरह वगैरह वगैरह. But if we are not documenting and disseminating what I have learned and what I would like to share, people are not able to acknowledge and appreciate what you know. You know, and as I mentioned in the process, you may become successful. I mean, I feel a bit embarrassed when you started introduction and you were talking about projecting myself as successful. I don't see it that way. I will be very brutally honest on that. But I think the secret lies in documentation and dissemination. Tell the world what you think. Tell the world what you did in a very nice, professional manner. Even if it is matter of cooking, even if it is matter of doing tapestry in the house, even if it is domestic sport. And that's what I appreciate these days with all the social media platforms which are available. So women should exercise that. That's one part. Now, the second part is more about leadership. There have to be some people taking the step or stepping aside from this rat race of success and seeing the potential of supporting other women. See, a good leader is one who is supporting and pushing others and not running the race in the front. A good leader is one who is sitting at the back and encouraging everybody to jao, Simran, jao, ji lo, piche main khadi hu, ya khada hu, whoever. It can be a male or a female leader or other gender leader as well. So I think those kind of women are missing in our society. Those kind of leaders are very few, not women, but male leaders as well. Because women somehow, after certain family obligations or responsibilities, there are stages in women's life that they lose confidence about what they know and what they can do and what they can know, all of this. So they need that little push. And I think if there can be few good leaders and who can mentor, handhold some women and do that, even every woman can do that for other women. We have to take that responsibility. So both, and maybe appreciate. One thing which women have to learn, which is very hard for most of the women to learn, is to acknowledge and appreciate other women. This is not happening. And I think that's where I was talking about maybe just step aside and do these leadership activities. See, for me, there are two kinds of things one can work. I will give example from my own scope of work. So you either work on the resource, which is water body, lakes, rivers, or you work on the knowledge of the resource. So the way I am right now engaged is I'm actually trying to understand what everybody is doing. I'm just, as I mentioned, thinking, reading, writing, and saying that this is what done by so and so, this is done by so and so, and I'm trying to analyze. You saw me last time when I presented those 14 types of lake cleaning technologies. I have not done any of the technology, but at least somebody has to work on the knowledge system. We have been very poor in knowledge system, and that's why we rely on Western knowledge. We have so much of knowledge system going around, so we need people to sit and work on the knowledge system. Likewise, we need people to work on the woman upbringing, woman upskilling, woman confidence building, woman placement building, all those things. But for that, you have to compromise your own so-called successful career. But in the process, you may become successful if that is your requirement or aspiration in life. You may, but that should not be the destination. That's my point. So please, all girls, get up. खाना तो रोज ही बनाना है, खाना भी रोज खाना है, घर भी रोज संभालना है. Please think about in this way. If you do not contribute directly to the society, and if you think that taking care of the family is your only duty, I think you are not only depriving yourself from doing something for good for the society, but at the same time, you are multiplying that effect for many younger generation women who will think that this cannot be done. So a little step from us can actually encourage maybe 10 women, 10 girls. So you have a larger responsibility. Now many women also crib about it. और कितना responsibility? घर का भी तो है, school का भी तो है, this भी है. then document it. Whatever you are doing, just document it and make a point that people listen to you, hear you, read you. Do that. ज्यादा काम करने की जरूरत नहीं है. ज्यादा काम क्यों करना है, ये भी तो मुझे सवाल है सबसे. क्यों करना है ज्यादा काम? अगर ज्यादा काम करने से दुनिया बर्बाद हो रही है, तो कम काम करना ही सबसे अच्छा है. That's also my belief, by the way, in the development. We have to work less, not work more. But that little less has to be amplified, has to be ornamented, has to be told in a nice way. जैसे हमारे बच्चों बचपन की स्टोरी नहीं होती थी, छोटी छोटी डिटेल्स होती थी चिल्ड्रन स्टोरीज में. वी हैव टू लिव लाइफ like that. Sorry, I'm very emotional about these kind of questions, huh?
No, ma'am, but this is what, like for women, even I feel we have to shift our attention from focusing to just look pretty, beautiful,
And successful also, by the way. जैसे ही successful बनने जाते हैं हम, you look at 90% of the successful women, personally, I feel they have lost their womanhood. They are half male, or they are neither male, neither woman. I'm sorry to say this, but this is how I look at it. So because the measurement of success is masculine, and it's a competitive nature, whereas as a society we have to complement each other, not compete with each other. We have to handhold and walk together, not walk in front and let others behind. I think this education, every teacher, because most of the women are also teaching in schools, they are teachers, in colleges they are teachers, we have to stop pushing children to come first in the class. I have been topper all my life, by the way, and the only thing I regret is I never planned to become topper, but I was among the toppers. And I am strictly against exams, and this whole race of becoming first, second and third is the problem. And then parents are mothers are comparing their children, between padosi ka children, and then we start problem. Mothers should focus on first building their own career. Motherhood is a career. Now even Indian courts have recognized this. Madras High Court 2 days ago has gave a very good judgment on motherhood. And of course, United Nations has acknowledged motherhood. So motherhood ko hi document karo na. Let people know about motherhood. We don't get training on motherhood. Come on. We don't get training on marriage. We don't get training on sexual, relationship. तो ये सब चीज डॉक्यूमेंट करो ना, एंगेज करो, लोगों को सिखाओ. कुछ भी करो यार, जरूरी नहीं है पानी में करना. जो आता है उसको मजे से करो.
Absolutely, ma'am. We might topple and fall, but it's all about fixing each other's ground.
फिक्सिंग एंड राइजिंग देखो हमेशा ही होगा. फॉल में तो कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं. उठ के खड़े होना खुद को ही है, आना चाहिए. और होती है हर दिन, महिला हो रही है. Women have that art. It's just that why do you need a push from others to realize it? और अगर चाहिए, then we need those kind of more women. Unfortunately, successful women forget other women. And that's why I'm also scared of becoming successful. I will be very honest on that. मैं अपने आप को भी भूलना नहीं चाहती और अपने साथ वाले सबको नहीं भूलना चाहती.
It's beautiful of you, ma'am. Like in Bioenzyme Council, we also have been trying to empower women by enriching eco-entrepreneurs. Enterprising women can be a part of it. Any special strategy, ma'am, that you would, guide us on all this entrepreneur thing?
I think women have been extremely successful in running small scale industries or domestic operated initiatives, entrepreneurship. So, and I have been saying this from the start of our conversation. Let us not go that executive corporate way of doing things or successful way of doing things. If you can really bring a change in your own society, in your own neighborhood, and get that into entrepreneurship. In my township also, people are selling wonderful, they have bakery, somebody has this, somebody has that. Likewise, you have to start promoting it in your own society. So that's first thing. We have to try to bring a change in the immediate context. No point producing something here and selling it 200, 300, 2000 kilometers away. Because then that is not an environment work, because you are already engaging in some other environment pollution activities. So that is one part of it. And then definitely becoming technological savvy. Learning the basics of documenting. I think the mantra is documenting and disseminating. Learn the art of conveying what you think and what you know, and any skill. You don't have to be environment skill. Of course, bioenzyme we are talking right now, and these are so easy. Start giving it to people. Make it take their waste and make it. And I know there are many examples of women doing that. See, if you want to become entrepreneurship, first of all, we have to learn to take risk. We have to learn to accept failure. Unfortunately, today, everybody wants to become successful in year 1 and year 2, and then they lose interest because there are everybody who they are pressurizing them. Then you feel that there is women are also not really investing too much of money and time in their profession. You have to. I mean, you can't become successful overnight. You have to work for years, and be convinced about it. I think this is where they lose focus. That's even my observation. If you believe in something, you have to just keep doing. Just keep doing. And I think at certain age, you will realize that if you are continuously doing something, people will recognize and you will get money for what you work on. It's just don't spend on golds and don't make too much of fixed deposits. Just use that money today in investing in your own business. Do not save for your children. That's the biggest mistake mothers do. Imagine your children to be capable enough that they can earn for their own. Don't save for them. Invest today your time, your money, your passion, and your profession, whatever skills you have. Don't leave it for children. They will make their own lives. There is no point doing that. I mean, because I did not have child, I can see this difference between me and my fellow sisters who have children. I think it's not that motherhood is not good, but then I think it is too much possessiveness between mothers. Invest on your own profession. Right. Use your children to write for you. I mean, that's what I see. A lot of children are doing for their grandmother, for their mothers. Nowadays, they are documenting those, and because they have technology. So just document. And I think start with a small scale and be happy with small successes and learn to take the failures. Every successful person has hundreds of failures put together is equal to success. So what we see in a successful person is the success part. We don't see the failure part. And somewhere women have been quite resistant to failure. Maybe it is because of the pressure from family. Maybe they create self-pressure. There is no harm failing, because you get to learn more when you fail. You don't learn anything when you are successful. Instead, you become more arrogant. And I have seen this problem with becoming successful. And I personally don't like also if somebody says successful to me. I am not. In classic example, I am not successful and I don't wish to be successful. I will be very honest on that. Just work, यार. Just work, money will come. काम करोगे तो पैसा कमाने में कोई मुश्किल काम नहीं. Problem is to spend the money, not to earn the money. And yes, we don't know to spend money, and that's why we are just keeping it for our children. Just don't exploit your children and Correct. Save money. Use that money for business. रिस्क लो ना. बिजनेस कैसे होगा? एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप रिस्क नहीं लेगा तो कैसे होगा बिजनेस? And that investment is of all kinds. Absolutely. And use your skills. We are very good in communication as women. घर चला रहे हैं तो देश भी चला सकते हैं.
So, Vicky, as a council, ma'am, since it's women-centric, we have been talking at the domestic levels of application of bioenzymes. And we have seen that how incorporating bioenzymes, we can introduce cutting-edge methods to mitigate or combat a holistic, solution for environmental degradations. So, ma'am, as a council, where do you see Bioenzyme 5 years down the line?
I think that is my question, isn't it? No, I think it is my question.
Because
You are asking me.
find a water facility specialist. I want to know.
That should be my question. Where do you see Jayashree Bioenzyme Council heading in 5 years' time? See, I was quite impressed when I attended one of the International Bioenzyme Council meeting, and Roshuko was also there.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that was, I think, when the Bioenzyme Council Day was declared. That was the meeting. Uh, and I know Preeti is now recognizing that in my calendar, first page, I have Bioenzyme Council Day as 4th Jan. You know, it's the first thing because in my calendar, I write those days. So I don't see any looking back for Bioenzyme Council. It's just that I already gave a warning and advice. Don't compete with the industry. You don't compare what is better between apple and banana. Huh? These are completely two different things. Likewise, I had said it again and I'm saying it again. All other techniques for cleaning lakes or cleaning soil uh, are cure approach. Bioenzyme is the preventive approach. So you already have a market edge. It's just that how you use this technology. See, technology cannot solve any problem. How you use this sisterhood, this network to bring a behavioral change, bring a social change in the society. And that's where the catch lies. Not how good bioenzyme you make, how good you can change people's heart, change people's head is going to define how successful bioenzyme as a movement is going to. Is
Again,
that
we will
okay? I don't know. I mean, you should tell me where. Okay, let me
absolutely.
ask last question. Jayashree, where do you see yourself 5 years from now?
I really see, like, walking hand in hand, I feel is the solution.
Go,
It has to
go
be.
door to door. See, we may see things very differently to these days. People don't allow you to knock at the door. But going door to door and telling about it is the only way out to bring a change, because they will see a highly educated woman leaving her profession, spending her life, and coming to my door and telling why bioenzyme is a better option for their child, for their life, for their house. Please invest your entire council, at least give them targets, 365 days, 300 houses you are going to touch. You are going to give them little bioenzyme pouch, and you are going to leave your number. You see how business is going to grow and how your name is going to grow. I already gave you the business trick, by the way.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you
Set
so
up
much.
a target with your president.
Definitely, ma'am. So thank you, ma'am, for
Thank
taking
you.
out time and gracing your presence here. And it was really amazing, the way you highlighted various strategies. So
Thank you. I
you-
hope it was useful and I hope you can make sense out of it. Thank you so much. Huh? Thanks, Jayashree and Preeti, for having me. Yeah, thank you.